Today we're going to talk about all of the movies I saw in February. Not the best month, not a lot to get excited about, so strap in. Here we go. What is it, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. I almost said strap on instead of strap in. I'm glad I didn't say that. Today we're talking all the movies I saw in February. Well, all the original movies. I'm watching Harry Potter right now. That's not new. We are talking 9 original films that released on streaming and or in theaters. I need you guys to be in the comments section down below letting me know, is there a movie that I missed? I know there was a movie, or multiple, that I list, so please comment those. And if you want to drop a like on this video, that would help the algorithm. It helped me on YouTube. I'd appreciate it. We're going to start in the only place you can't start. That is Cocaine Bear. I watched this movie. I did not know what to expect. It is a full-on satire, and I'm grateful for that. This is not a movie that takes itself seriously. This is not a movie that you go into and you walk out of and say, It tried in points, but in other points it tries to get extremely emotional and hit hard. And there are times in this film where they focus maybe too much on the adult storylines or too much with characters that we don't really care about. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I'm glad it's still not taking itself all that serious. It focuses on the humor. It focuses where it needs to focus. That being said, I'm not going to sit back and say this is a great movie, because it's not a great movie. There are so many points in the film where I said, why isn't Cocaine Bear here when it spent 40 minutes on all of these other characters and there's no Cocaine Bear? I mean, this is the main character. Where is the main character? I also get it when people say it's not their cup of tea when it comes to the humor. The most subjective genre there is, that's comedy. Not everyone's going to respond to a gag that will have the rest of the theater laughing, so that's completely understandable. But as many flaws as there are within this story, and I make it sound like there are a ton, there aren't a ton. I would have adjusted things, I would have changed things, but the movie had me entertained. It made me laugh. This may feel like a crime, me doing this, because the entire time I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put this on the okay tier, but it's a higher okay tier. For what it was and for what it tried to be, the movie accomplished that. And for people saying, well, it wasn't this, no, it doesn't take itself seriously, and I respect that and appreciate it. So I'm going to put it, screw it. We're going to put Cocaine Bear on the good tier. Screw it. Sharper, Apple TV Plus. This cast is great. This idea is great. I think this movie is shot so well, and it features one of the best build-ups, first acts, I've seen all year. I was genuinely entrenched in the first act of this film, and Sharper is one of those that I kind of wish I would have reviewed, because it started out so strong and it continued in an interesting way, and the second act had me hooked, and I'm like, what's the problem? Why has this movie gotten no marketing? And then we hit the third act. Julianne Moore, Brianna Middleton, John Lithgow, Sebastian Stan, an amazing cast, but none of them can save what the writing did at the end of this movie. It goes completely off the rails. It throws a twist at you and then reverses that twist and then tries to throw another one, and that's not a spoiler. You have no clue where this is going to go, and sometimes that's a good thing. But at points, it can become too much. And it also became drastically less interesting because it forgets about what made it such a good movie to start with. And I'm not going to sit back and say, oh my God, the ending just compromised the entire experience and I was devastated at the end. I wasn't devastated, right? The rest of the movie is still really good, and I still think the filmmaking is rock solid, and there are parts about this film I'm like, this could have been one of the best movies of the year. But when I say it ended with a thud, I genuinely believe that. I heard a thud sound effect. When it cut to credits, I'm like, oh. I'm just not sure why they made the decisions that they made, and that's very unfortunate because it was genuinely on track to be on the great, maybe on the awesome tier, but sometimes movies like this, they just fall apart. Sharper did that. I'm going okay tier for Sharper. It wasn't sharp. It was flat. Reese Witherspoon, Ashton Kutcher, and it's a romantic comedy. What is this, 2004? No, it's 2023, and this movie, in that time, I think would have worked a lot better because those are the types of films that we were getting, although I do believe, even without story adjustments, this still possibly would have fallen flat in the early 2000s. It's one of those films where it's unsure of its goal. You know, you're watching it, you're like, it's some quirky moments between Witherspoon and Kutcher, and their on-screen chemistry is fine, even though they're barely on screen together, because they switch roles. They're on opposite sides of the country. Kutcher is trying to help raise her child, and then she's trying to go out and have fun and be spontaneous and do things that Kutcher was doing. And I'm sorry I'm not using their names in the movie, but I forgot them. So I could look, it's right here. Fine, Peter and Debbie. Peter and Debbie, it was a cute little quirky introduction, but as soon as the first scene happened, I'm like, oh, well, that's the kind of movie this is going to be, and that's the kind of movie that it is, and it doesn't surpass expectations. I think it will work as a film you can put on in the background. It's a cute, quirky little comedy, but I thought the writing was a little bland. I thought the dialogue wasn't very good. Again, chemistry, fine, good enough, but I didn't really get to see what that chemistry actually was because they were barely on screen together. I am going your place or mine. Which place am I putting this on? Let's go bad tier. Magic Mike's Last Dance. I am debating on which tier to put this on. I'll explain myself here in just a second. I actually like the first two Magic Mike movies. They know the type of films that they are. You've got two competent directors. I think Soderbergh does a nice job with the first Magic Mike, and I was shocked to see that he actually came back and directed this movie. Although it doesn't really feel like that. I don't know when they shot Magic Mike's Last Dance. It does feel like a COVID film, meaning they couldn't get access to certain things, but that doesn't impede on the story. You can have a great story and not be able to do certain things and kind of work around that. Magic Mike's Last Dance didn't really work around some of these story flaws, some of these script issues. They truly bogged the movie down, and it was missing that, wait for it, magic of the first two films. It had the mic, didn't have the magic, but it was indeed The Last Dance. I liked Selma Hayek in this movie. I liked the introduction of her character, how they got to know each other. And some of those moments, they had emotion, they had magic. I'm going to keep doing that. But the middle of the movie, it's just this cliche storyline of, oh, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to take out the theater, and we're going to let you do your own thing, and that's it. I mean, that's all really we got throughout the film. And you get those moments of the soundtrack coming back into play, certain songs, the dance sequences, those are great. But the story, I just wasn't all that interested in. I think I'm going to be nice to this one and put it on the meh tier. But I was debating putting it on the bad tier because, frankly, it was just a really disappointing movie. We Have a Ghost. Look, I'm not going to get in anybody's way that says, oh, this is a cute movie. This is one of those movies you can, again, your place or mine, maybe a bit better than that. You can put on in the background, have some fun with. It's kind of charming. It's a very E.T.-like storyline, except this time it's not a sci-fi. Well, I guess it technically is sort of a sci-fi movie. It's more paranormal. You have a ghost. You can have somewhat scary moments. And you have a director and a writer that comes to us from movies like Happy Death Day and Freaky and the Paranormal Activity world. And all of those things should have combined to create a magical experience. An experience featuring one David Harbour that just works extremely well. That being said, David Harbour doesn't really have a lot to say in this movie because they make the decision to keep him quiet. And I get it. It allows him to flex his acting chops and allows him to smile. And I don't even have a problem with that character decision. I more so have a problem with, kind of wasting David Harbour's talents. And then you go beyond that, and some of these lines and some of the dialogue, it's a bit too cheesy for its own good. And when it's trying to be silly and quirky and make you giggle or chuckle, I wasn't really giggling or chuckling. I'm just kind of like, that's a lazy line. That's lazy writing. I've seen better other movies, maybe even recent movies, handle what they are trying to do in this film even better than this. So I think I've just seen too many movies like this to where it didn't have that magic or impact. And if you're a more general audience member, you're watching Netflix, you only watch 4 or 5 movies a year, I completely understand why you would have fun with this. Because there were fun and charming moments. I think the cast is good. Anthony Mackie's good. That being said, I've seen too many movies like this. This one did not stand out. And frankly, I've already kind of forgotten about it. I'm putting it on the meh tier. Ashley Madikwe stars in The Strays, a very Jordan Peele-esque movie. Shades of Get Out, especially at the beginning of this film. We see her running away from something. We don't necessarily know the circumstances or why. And then we see her with her family. But some people are coming back into her life, someone's life, and causing issues with her children, with her now husband. There are things at play here that are creepy and eerie, and I like some of that build-up. The themes in this movie are actually pretty good in the first half, but just like the movie Sharper, especially in this third act, the film starts to go a bit too far off the rails. And when I say off the rails, I mean really off the rails. And so many people are going to watch this movie and be so tragically underwhelmed and disappointed by the ending. Now, I didn't hate the way the movie ended. I think that makes sense for what the film was trying to do, but I think the build up to that ending, a lack of answering some of the questions that I have, and really hitting on a theme, bringing a theme up, and then not really exploring that theme. Too worried about certain character dynamics and relationships when you should be worried about what made this movie interesting to start with. So unfortunately, I'm going to put The Strays on the meh tier, even though it had the potential to do something great. Should I even waste my time on this movie? Genuinely, I wasted my time watching it. I wasted my time. I mean, I've already wasted 10 seconds of this video kind of hitting on it. Should I waste my time talking about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? I'll let you guys decide. Leave a comment, and I will make a decision based off of your comment in real time. Okay, let's move on. Genuinely, I will say, I think this movie had potential. I think it had all of the potential in the world. I didn't like the trailer. I thought the posters were kind of silly. I think seeing the people in the masks and knowing that they're masks and them not. And I get it. They're working off of a low budget. I appreciate and respect people that go out and make movies on a budget like that. That's something that I love and honestly I look up to. But I have to judge them. I'm not judging the people. I'm not judging the studio. I'm judging the experience. And the experience was revolting. I hated it. I hated every moment of it. I thought it was a misery. It's not even so bad that it's good. It's so bad that it's bad. It's so bad that it's beyond bad. And it's another level of bad. 45 seconds now I've been talking about this movie. My math's probably off. It's probably been longer than that, but I'm still going, so it's getting... I'm going to... Stop it. Stop it. Knock at the Cabin. Let's talk about Dave Bautista really quick because listen, I genuinely thought Dave Bautista did an outstanding job in this movie. And honestly, some things about this film made me look at M. Night Shyamalan and say, this is why I kind of respect this guy. Like, I believe M. Night Shyamalan has made some of the worst movies I've ever seen. But then I look at the ones that I really respond to, and I'm like, those are great. Like Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense, obviously The Sixth Sense. I mean, even a movie like Signs. I think Signs is a really great experience. It's got the stupid water thing, but you watch the film, you don't really think about that or care about that until the film's over. Then you start to think about it. But that being said, he knows how to make an experience. And I think even with all of the flaws with Knock at the Cabin, it was still an experience. It's still an experience enough for me to put on a tier that makes it, I believe, a movie at least worth a look into if you like this kind of thing. And I'm not mad about the fact that there was no classic M. Night Shyamalan crazy twist, and I got an email just now. And you don't get the madness that you get in some of his other movies. Okay, it's madness. This movie is madness. But the biggest issue I have with this film is its predictable madness. I think the trailer played a big part in that. I was so disappointed knowing exactly what I was in for based off of the trailer. And frankly, that's exactly what you get. There's no real surprise with this film. They build it up like it's going to be a surprise, but you know what's coming, and you see it happen, and you're like, well, and then as climactic as the ending's trying to be, there's no mystery to the madness. There's nothing that makes you sit on it and think. There was nothing to chew on at the end of this movie. And I'm not even saying that it needed a classic M. Night Shyamalan twist. I'm saying it needed something more because when the movie ended, I appreciated the performances. I liked some of the filmmaking, but I didn't think about the story anymore. I just forgot about that entire screenplay because of the way it played out. And I thought that was so tragically disappointing, not because I hated the movie, but because I thought it had the potential to be great. All of that being said, I'm putting Knock at the Cabin on the okay tier. I think it's worth a watch. Ants. Okay, listen. I didn't hate Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I know people hated it. I know people look at it and they're just like, that's stupid. Why is it so stupid? The first act, the visual effects are bad. You're right about that. And then the second act, there's some lines of dialogue that are just kind of corny and they don't work. You're right about that too. My big difference here is I thought a lot of the humor, and this could be because I like the random style of somewhat ridiculous humor, but it has to at least enhance the story. I think that's some people's problems with movies like Thor, Love and Thunder and others, but I do believe Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, that dumb humor at least serves the story And this movie knows the type of movie it wants to be. It may not be the type of movie we wanted because it feels so drastically different from the first two Ant-Man films, but it sticks to its guns. And I do somewhat appreciate and respect that. I also liked MODOK more than other people. I'll flat out say it. Look, I did not hate MODOK. Yes, he looks bad. I get it. I completely get it. But he also kind of looks like he did in the comics. I was like, you win some and you lose some. I gotta stick to my guns. I kind of liked MODOK, but Kang carries this movie. Paul Rudd is great. The relationship with his daughter, even though I wanted more from certain things about that relationship. And then that probability scene, I still think that's one of the better scenes we've seen in Marvel over the last year or two. That was a great moment for Ant-Man, for Wasp, even though she didn't really get a lot to do in this movie. Overall, I had a pretty fun time with it, but the glaring flaws are still glaring. The bad visual effects in the first act are still bad, and our standards at this point should be, and rightfully are, much higher than this. So, did not meet the mark, did not live up to expectations. I was disappointed, but I still had an okay enough time to put it on the okay tier. And now that we are done with this, let's rank. At the bottom, of course, we shall not say thy name. In the next spot, your place or mine. Now it gets interesting. Now we have to rank. At the bottom, I'm going to go Magic Mike's Last Dance, followed by The Strays, and We Have a Ghost. Then on the okay tier, honestly, I want to keep Ant-Man in that bottom spot because I prefer these two movies, but I will say Knock at the Cabin had more of an impact than Sharper did, especially with that ending, which means not very many movies in February. I missed a lot. It's a short month. I was busy, but Cocaine Bear reigns supreme. Part of me feels like I should have put it on the okay tier, but I just think it knew the type of movie it wanted to be, and this is a barren wasteland of a month, so something had to be better than okay, right? Did I miss something? I wanted to see some movies in theaters like Jesus Revolution. I have seen Creed 3, but that's technically a March movie, so we're going to save that for March. Regardless, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for leaving your comments. If there's a movie I missed, please let me know, because I would love to play catch-up, especially on Letterboxd. I love catch-up. What was I saying? Bye.